7 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Walker.
Present.
Trustee Gallegos.
Here.
Trustee Tejada. Vice President Slavudin. Here. President Lee.
Here. All right. And let's move on to approving the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda, Ms. Presto?
There are. We're gonna we'd like to pull item 13A1 and just postpone it to 6:20 to have the discussion then.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to approve the agenda with that one change?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. I did a motion to approve items 8A through D, the approval of minutes of May 15th, 16th, May 20th, and May 30th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There is nothing to report out of closed session. Moving on to item 10A, the board report. Mr. Walker, anything you'd like to speak to?
Excuse me. For the first time, I was able to attend graduations in the district, and it was joyous, really joyous, especially at Jefferson. It's just nice to be part of the process again of our milestone of education. I had a good time. And congratulations to all the graduates.
Yeah, same for me. I was able to attend a couple graduations, Terra Nova and the adult school graduation. The adult school graduation was interesting. The power in Daly City was out. Power here was out. But they made it happen, and it was really cool. There was 3 classes that all graduated together, 21 through 23.
You were at Thornton too.
Huh?
You went Thornton?
Oh yeah, I went to Thornton's too. Yeah. So I was at 3 actually. Yeah, that was really cool. That was really fun being a part of all that and seeing all the smiling faces across the stage. That was a big compliment with that.
So I went to the adult transition, which is one of my favorite graduations, and I always forget to bring a box of Kleenex because when the students introduce each other, and they just have the best stories about each other. And then hearing the student speeches and have them thank their parents, and to see how emotional it is for the parents to watch their student reach a major milestone. So thank you to all of the staff of the Adult Transition Program and the administration of our special education department. They just do a phenomenal job for that big week, and it was great. And it was also nice to also see the staff from our transportation group come out, because people don't know how integral busing is, the transportation is for special education, especially if you are a student who is on the certificated path. We provide transportation, and so for many of those students, their family wouldn't be able to transport them. So they get a really close relationship with the people in there. Who are driving them around for usually sometimes their entire high school and transition period. So that was very nice. And the second thing is I attended today the flag raising for Juneteenth at the county, and I'm grateful for the county for acknowledging Juneteenth. And on Saturday, I didn't have enough to do, so I decided to organize the county's Pride Parade, the first ever Pride Parade for the county. That'll be happening in San Mateo at 10 a.m. on B Street. So if you want to come out and show your pride with me, and I hope many other people, please join us on Saturday in San Mateo. Okay.
Cool. I was able to be at the Westmore graduation, which was also a lot of fun. Very windy, however. A funny story, there was some construction noise going on in the background, and Ms. Pressa leans over to me. So, what's all that noise behind us? And I looked at her and I pointed to the adult ed and district office construction.
I thought it was somebody weed whacking. Can't they weed whack with another?
So there we go. Just thought I'd put that out there. But it was a fun time. That aside, we had a great time, and Mr. Ward was out there as well. And I just want to say thank you to the residents of 705 for the wonderful thank you note that's gone around the table tonight. Thank you so much for your thoughtfulness and providing us with these little seeds. So it'll be in my garden as well. So thank you all. It was definitely our honor to be able to put that together for you. So thank you. Ms. Prescott.
Thank you. So really, I think I attended a lot of graduations, adult school, adult transition, Thornton, Jefferson, Westmore, Oceana. The one I did not make was Terra Nova. So I was grateful that some of the graduations were at different times this year so that I could go to so many, because I'd really like to go to all of them. But really every graduation was terrific. Different. They all have a different feel. But as Trustee Walker said, all were very joyous. And so really a lot of wonderful celebrations. And I too thank the staff and the administrations in all the schools. So lots of end of year celebrations. I went to the Jefferson Council PTA celebration last week. They honored Superintendent Vidalis, who's retiring from Jefferson Elementary, because it's the Jeffersons, it's Jefferson Elementary School District and High School District. And then I was at Pacifica Pride on Saturday. It was I think it might be the second one that they did.
Yeah.
And it was just really nice. I saw Tina Van Rapphorst there, and I will admit I missed it. They said it was a 15-minute parade. I was not there exactly at 11 on the dot, and I missed it. But they had a whole gathering at IBL. Yeah. So it was really fun, really great. Mary Beer was there, and lots of people from Pacifica. It was a nice celebration. From that, the last thing I wanted to mention is that summer school started today. And so I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Sterling Hay from Westmore High School, who is the principal of summer school this year. He's done a really great job organizing it. Along with Dr. Marenko. And so today was the first day. I didn't hear anything. So I think that's a good sign. I said, we want to come and visit, but he said, please come week 2. And then actually the last thing is that Ms. Baca and I are going to be visiting our Future Grads program, the Boys and Girls Club Future Grads program. This is their first year that they're having the summer program at Skyline College. So I received a few snapshots today from the kids in the auditorium, and we're going to go visit the program tomorrow. So we're excited about that.
And now for our AFT 1481 report, Ms. Casey, nothing tonight? Fantastic. And nothing on the COVID-19 response?
No.
Okay, great. So we'll go on to consent. Item 11, can I get a motion to approve consent?
Move to approve consent.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. All right. Item 12, public comment. Do we have any public comment cards this evening?
Yes, we do. We have one.
And just as a reminder, you're limited to 3 minutes and the timer's up on the wall.
I hope this is on. Well, thank you very much.
Green light.
Green light. Very good. Thank you very much. And I appreciate you taking time out to have this public comment. My name is Kumar Hari, and I'm here tonight representing Little League Baseball in the city of Pacifica. So over the past, I'd say 8 years, I've served as board vice president on one of the 2 nationally chartered Little Leagues in the city, which together annually serve around 700 players and children, players and their families. In the past 3 years, our leagues have used our own resources around $100,000 to upgrade local fields in support of youth sports in the community. So my public comment tonight is rather specific, especially given the breadth of your own agenda, but it concerns Cooper Field at Terra Nova High School. This past season, nearly 50 of our 7th and 8th grade players used Cooper Field as their home stadium under a memorandum of understanding with Jefferson Union High School District, which has been in place for a number of years. And that season was wildly successful. Cooper hosted about 25 visiting teams from all around the peninsula, including teams from San Mateo and Redwood City, Foster City, Belmont, Palo Alto. It was a big success. And of course, the Pacifica coaches and parents volunteered a majority of their time to upgrade and constantly maintain the infields of that field, as I think you're all aware, which was also being used by the Terra Nova junior varsity team at the time. So it was a big win for everyone. So we're pleased to learn that the district, in conjunction with SSA Landscape Architects, is considering plans to upgrade the baseball and softball fields at Terra Nova, including fixing the significant drainage issues that occur there. However, the leagues are also very concerned that those same plans may result in excluding us from using those facilities in the future. And over the past year alone, we've had various maintenance and access issues, which have caused us to lose 3 of our local fields. And losing Cooper would have a deeply negative impact on this age group and our ability to run those programs in Pacifica, because it turns out that Cooper's field is the only properly sized field for 7th and 8th grade players. And please note, that's the feeder for all the high schools in this district. So it's always been a baseball town, Pacifica, and more recently it's become a true destination for Little League baseball, hosting very large-scale tournaments for teams throughout the peninsula. And what we ask is that Terra Nova High School and, of course, Jefferson Union High School District continue to work with us as the upgrade, maintenance, and access plans for Cooper Field are developed, and or consider accommodating our leagues at other sites, such as Oceana High School. And I thank you for your time.
So much. All right, moving on to discussion items. Item 13B1, we'll have our public hearing on the Local Control and Accountability Plan 23-24. Ms. Baca.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very presidently. Tonight, I will be going over and summarizing the changes to the 23-24 Local Control and Accountability Plan. So the LCAP, or Local Control and Accountability Plan, is a tool.
Oops, it was not on. It's a tool that was introduced as part of the local control funding formula in 2013. It is a 3-year district plan that outlines goals, actions, and services to support positive student outcomes. So overall, the district is making steady improvement towards its goals. Thank you to all of our teachers, staff, administrators in the community who work tirelessly to support this plan and our students. And just as a note, 23-24 is the 3rd year of the plan, meaning that for next year, we are developing a new 3-year plan. So one of the requirements for the LCAP is engaging our educational partners. So we have sought feedback from our student groups, our district advisory committee, our ELAC, teachers and staff, our board of trustees. We had a study session, and our special education local plan agency and administrators as well. Most of the feedback were already incorporated in the LCAP, but they wanted more improvement. So as an example, our students want to make sure that the 4-year plan is being followed through, and it's not just a one-time thing that they revisit it year after year. Our teachers and staff and administrators also want to make sure that we continue and improve the course mapping process, or the blue sheet work that happened this school year. And one of the other themes that I heard throughout from engaging these partners is that as a district, we need to do a better job of providing informational nights for our parents and our guardians as well. So that is going to be one of the priorities for next school year. So the other requirements is the LCAP goals. So there are 7 goals in the LCAP. And the first goal is all about college and career readiness. So this is a broad goal that really starts with the teaching and learning, what happens in the classroom, and it expands to preparing students for college and career, and it includes programs like our special education program, English language development program, and so on. The second goal is also a broad goal that promotes positive and supportive climate and community. Some of the actions include attendance and mental health support. The third goal, which is our equity and inclusion, which one of the feedback that I heard is that this is really the root cause of a lot of things that we do. So we should really consider making this as goal 1.
in the next 3-year plan. So this talks about equity, and it outlines the district's initiatives in addressing the educational inequities in our system. So this includes our work with courageous conversation, ethnic studies, and grading for equity. The 4th, 5th, and 6th goal are all focus goals, and they're specifically address the needs of our students learning English and our students with IEP. And finally, the 5th goal is about maintaining our systems and operations, which includes our communication plan and improving student voice. So some of the changes for next year with goal 1 is about data literacy training. So we just really want to reiterate the importance of understanding, analyzing, and communicating different sets of data to help us inform with decision making. So it is important that we look at multiple sets of data, and we just don't solely rely on the lagging data like the Smarter Balance assessment. The second change is to promote our state seal of biliteracy. So in the past, only the students who were taking French and Spanish really had the opportunity to receive this recognition, because those really were the only 2 classes that we offered for 4 years, and that there's an AP exam attached to it. So our plan is to purchase some assessments in other languages to meet the requirement. So for instance, about 17% of our students speak Tagalog. So we want to make sure that we provide that assessment for our students as well. And so I'm working with Dr. Robinson and our world language leads, Leah Anderson and Alex Mullen, to make sure that we have a process in place so that we can increase the recognition of our students. For the PSAT and NMSQT, several years ago, we as a district offered the PSAT to all 9th through 11th graders and the SAT for 12th graders. But because the UCs, University of California, and the California State University system dropped the requirement for these exams, we stopped, and COVID, we stopped giving the assessments. However, several parents have voiced their concerns because this assessment can only be ordered through a school, and that there are no testing scores or testing centers for the PSAT, and that this assessment is tied to scholarships and other recognition. They ask that we support the PSAT and MSQT for 11th grade students. The next one is about IEP timeline and monitoring. So one of the findings from the California Department of Education is that we really need to meet our IEP timelines. So we need to do a better job of monitoring our IEPs. And finally, providing some staffing to support our co-teaching and extra prep period for our special education program. For goal 3, we would like to call out and make sure that we have our site equity teams developed. So yesterday, Ms. Presta and a lot of people, classified and certificated staff, were at Mission Blue to receive their first training for the E-teams, and this will continue throughout the school year. And the goal is for each site to develop its own equity plan. And so we will be working with that throughout the year. The next one is more training on LGBTQ+ for our parent, community, and staff. And another action that will be new for next year is, again, more information for our parents and students with IEP, just more informational nights. The next 2 is convening a group of students to help them and build capacity so that they become equity leaders for the district. So the plan is towards the end of the year, once our site equity team is pretty firmed up, we will convene a group of students and start the Students Against Racism group. And finally, we would like to use our Equity Lens tool to help us inform decision making. there are no changes to goal 2 and goal 4. For goal 5, there is an intake process where our parents and guardians take a survey here at the district office to see how they feel about being welcome at the district level. And we want to expand this at the school site level. So we would like to create a survey for the schools. For goal number 6, we would like to pilot some supplemental materials for our extensive support needs class. This will help address the alternative pathway to diploma for our current students that are on a certificate path that may be eligible. And finally, for this goal, we would like to implement and monitor the compliance and intensive monitoring plan that we had been working on. Finally, for goal 7, we want to make sure that we continue our student focus groups at each of the school sites. Ms. Preston and I visited almost all of the school sites this year, and we really heard great insights about the experience of students at the school sites, and we want to make sure that we continue this at least twice a year next school year. And finally, we want to specifically call out a monthly meeting between the Student Advisory Council and the principal. So with the local control funding formula, about 3.3 million were generated from our students learning English, low income, and foster youth. And with that, about 3.8 are budgeted on the LCAP. And if you need more details and you want to see the full plan, there's the 112-page plan, TDE, and then there's the LCAP summary. And then if you just really want the really summary, there's a 1-page overview. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. First, any comments or questions from the board before the public hearing?
So, as usual, I love the work that you do. I have never seen, you know, I go around and I visit a lot of school districts. I have never seen an LCAP ready. Not just in the way it's the way our goals and everything are like. Everybody feels about the template. It's more about how it is disseminated so that we can understand it. And then also the way it's broken down in terms of the goals versus the metrics. So for hardcore school board members, anytime I break this out, I become instantly popular. Like they all crowd around, everyone wants to look at it. So at the last board meeting I went to, 20 school board, it was projected 20 school board members, you know, we need to get the school district website address so that they can look at it first. So if you ever want a consulting business, he's saying there's a side.
Hashtag.
Yeah, the consult on the side. I just realized my microphone wasn't on. Sorry. There's an opportunity, but I just want to comment on the work that's put into this, and I'm really grateful and thankful because it makes the job of doing oversight possible, because the other document is impossible to do oversight. The suggestions I all agree with. I think those are great. I really am thankful that we're going to move equity to number 1. It just makes sense. Mm-hmm. And the only comments that I have are, you know, in the previous LCAP, we had started the equity survey for both students and staff, and then a thing happened that caused some discontinuation, a pandemic. And so just to see those start up again, because the thing that I still a question for me, and I know we're still discussing, is like, how do we measure success in the equity? And then, you know, what other things can we use as metrics to ensure that the discussions that we're having here in the district office are really materializing on the ground in the schools? I'm really also grateful of the emphasis on the LGBTQIA community. Because I have talked to teachers and staff that say you do see now that there is more interruption of racial issues, but there's a lot of understanding of when things are said that are not okay against LGBTQ members, there's not the same reaction, and it's just a lack of understanding in education. So I'm glad that we're incorporating that into the work that we're doing. So I'm just excited to see all this work continue moving forward. It's been a long time, so to see it actually taking place is great. So thank you.
Great. Again, this one, Mr. Walker, do you have anything you want to add? Yeah. This one is, again, just reiterate my thanks. It's good to see, again, the amount of work that you put into this and even just some of the modest changes that occurred since the study session we had back in April. And so we have a pretty good understanding of what's already in here. But again, having this cheat sheet will be very, very helpful for this coming year. So,
and just really quickly, I mean, for folks watching at home, we had a study session on this. That was a full day. A full day. So we said a lot of the things that are incorporated here. And the one thing that's really cool is that it's a living document. So you can see it's like updating and making changes as we're talking. So we had a lot of input going into this. A lot of different groups did. So also just to bring that up.
Yep. Good point. All right. So with that, I will open up our public hearing. Any comments from the public? All right. Public hearing is now closed. Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to item 13C1. Public hearing with regards to the 23-24 budget. Ms. Van Raphorst.
Thank you, President Lee. Good evening, everyone. That's not gonna work.
We have it on our screen.
No, I know, but Jake, if you can not put it in presentation mode, or do I have power to do that? Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Okay, so as Trustee Salahuddin mentioned, we did spend time in a work study on the budget. There haven't been a lot of changes since that meeting, but I am going to go through this paragraph by paragraph because I know we have new board members and, it can be complicated. So I want to make sure that I fill in all the gaps that I anticipate, and then you can ask me questions to fill in any further gaps. So the May revision is what the governor comes out with in May that shows what he proposes the budget to be. And then in early June, which is now, we have to provide the public with a chance to comment on our budget. And obviously this is before the state has actually adopted their budget. So this is kind of we do our best with the information that we have. But the state will adopt their budget before the end of June, as will we. We will be adopting our budget on June 20th at the next board meeting. But even when both budgets are adopted, the state then also spends July and August working on trailer bills, which then impact the money that we receive. So it's kind of like never finalized until the books close. So the books close at the end of July, and you get a report in September that says what happened the previous year. That's the only thing that's for sure. Everything else is always up in the air. So this is just our best projection. So what is in the governor's revised budget? It shows that the state revenue is coming in lower than previously anticipated, and inflation has remained high. However, he still has a proposal that fully funds Prop 98 with no deferrals and no use of the rainy day fund. There are only 2 cuts in grant funds that are being pulled back. And that's how he's making the Prop 98 guarantee. So for us, that's in a lower paragraph. Hold on. Sorry. So for us, we're going to remain a basic aid school district. The LCFF funds in our formula would be lower than our tax revenue, so we're going to remain LCFF funded. The growth for the LCFF formula is 8.22% is what it's projected to be, and our tax revenue will have us come in about 20% higher than that, than our formula would have, which is not dissimilar to this year. The federal funding and the state funding will drop from previous years because we've been getting COVID relief funds from both of those sources. The other drop in the state fund will be because of the monies that the governor is proposing to be pulled back. So that's a 50% reduction in the art, music, instructional materials discretionary block grant. We received half of the money this year, and we were projected to receive the second half of the money next year, but we will not receive that second half of the money next year. And that's about $1.2 million. The Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant was completely received this year. It was about $3 million, and we will have to pay back about $1 million of that if the governor's budget is adopted the way it was presented. So it's a net loss of about $1.2 million from what we were expecting. For local funds, you'll see a decrease in this pot of money as well. Most of our local funds come from three sources: our parcel taxes, our grants for Daly City Youth Health Center, and other grants, but the bulk of our grants come to Daly City Youth Health Center, and our facilities rentals. So the anticipated decrease is primarily due to us moving Daly City Youth Health Center operations out of general fund. So we opened Fund 63 when we started our employee housing. And as I was working with the auditors this year, they said, oh, now that you have Fund 63, it really makes sense for you to move Daly City Youth Health Center out of your general fund so that it makes it cleaner when we're making our reports and how much money is actually being spent on educational activities. So that's what's shown in the 23-24. So they'll stay in there for the current year. When we close the books, they'll stop operating in Fund 1 and move to Fund 63. So that is about $2 million a year of both income and expenditures that will now be in Fund 63 that used to be in Fund 1. And then the loss of rental income at Ceremony Del Rey, at its peak, we were generating about $500,000 there. It had been slowly decreasing over the years. So there's not a whole $500,000 decrease just in the 1 year, but over time. All right. Any questions on those items before I move on? Okay. So then we move on to the assumptions that we made in the proposed budget. These assumptions come from a variety of sources. Primarily, School Services of California comes out with a dartboard, and then the assessor's office helps us predict what tax revenue might be in the future. So our property tax increases for 23-24 is pretty likely to come in around 4.7% or maybe slightly higher. 24-25 and 25-26 are less certain. And that's why I made a more conservative estimate there of 3.8%. The STRS is our retirement system for our certificated employees. And that is now projected to stay steady, which is nice because we've been having large increases every year. PERS for our classified employees is continuing to increase. But for the increase between 22-23 and 23-24 is only about $175,000 in PERS costs. And if you've been paying attention in the last couple of years, we've seen in retirement costs over $1 million a year of increase. So this is like more manageable. And then one piece of good news is that unemployment insurance, which peaked at 0.5% due to the pandemic, and was not anticipated to return to its previous level of 0.05, is now projected to return to that previous level. They thought it was going to level up at 0.2%, and that's what we've been budgeting. So it's not a ton of money, but every little bit. For salary, we have settled labor negotiations for 23-24 with a 3% across the board salary increase, and that is reflected in the budget. And in the out years beyond 23-24, there's no increase reflected in the budget other than step and column, which is just everybody's regular when they move across the salary schedule. And then I do have implementation of our recently adopted board policy on reserves. So in the current year, a 5% set aside. In the first year after the current year is 3% set aside, and the third year out would be 1% set aside. And then making contributions to Fund 17 to get that to 2% is our goal that was stated in the board policy. And at the end of 25-26, we'll be almost there if we're able to continue with this. I did want to point out that in talking with the County Office of Ed, they said that when you adopt the budget and it has the $300,000 for the budget year, then that allows me to move that money. It approves it. So as you approve the budget, you're approving that transfer of funds from Fund 01 to Fund 17 for the current year only. The out years, you have to wait until that budget year, and that's when you approve it. It won't come as a separate item, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
And then another new thing this year is GASB 87. GASB stands for Governmental Accounting Standards Board, and they put in new rules from time to time, and they now are requiring all governmental agencies to reflect their liabilities and assets in their budget. So we had an audit adjustment for 22-23 that makes it look like we have $11.5 million more in our fund balance than actually exists. It's fixed assets, not cash. So I just know that the fund balances are $11.5 million higher than what we actually have for money. Any questions on that page? All right. So then our multi-year projection, some other assumptions that I wanted to bring to your attention. We have heard from our insurance broker, Keenan, that health insurance premiums are likely to go up by more than 10% in 2024. And this is just a delayed response to the pandemic. During the pandemic, we did not see dramatic increases. They were only, really in line with CPI. And so to make up for that, they're anticipating over 10%. I did budget for a 7% increase in the budget year, which means that we could absorb a 14% increase because it's only 6 months. Because the change happens January 1st, and our budget year is from July to June. So anyway, so I budgeted that the district could absorb a 14% increase for 1 year only, though, and then no more increases going forward. So we'd have to, that's negotiable. It's a negotiable item, but that's what I budgeted. Another piece of information is our workers' comp costs have increased more dramatically than in years past. Again, I think partially due to the pandemic and partially, it just is what happens. I know that HR and our site managers are doing their best to make sure that workers' comp claims are as low as possible, but the cost for our claims are based on our history of claims made. So we have a 6.16% increase to workers' compensation for the coming year. Some investments in our programs that we decided to make is one, to increase our special education teaching pool so that we can cover more prep time for our teachers to allow them to do their case management work in addition to planning for their instruction. And then an increase in our wellness intern stipends.
I have a question
Sure.
about the premiums. Do you want me to ask you
Sure.
now?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have budgeted for we can withstand a 14% increase for that 1 year, you said, but no more in the next year. Is that included? Is that 14% included in the
That's
next year?
a very
Or
good
is it going to be
question. Thank-
exponential growth?
No. Thank you. And I actually kind of misspoke too, because I don't budget no increase. I budget a CPI increase in the out years. But yes, you are correct. I only budgeted the 7% ongoing, which means that if there's a 14% increase, we'll be able to cover it for the current year, but then there's a 7% gap in the next year. Yes. And I budgeted CPI going forward. So, around 3.5% for the out years. Okay. And then, debt repayment. So we, about 4 years ago, took out some loans in the form of COPs, certificates of participation, for development of Ceremony Del Rey, with the idea that we would be generating revenue on the property that would repay these loans. And it will come, I have faith, that we will start generating revenue. And in the meantime, we do need to start paying back the loans now. And so that is $287,000 a year ongoing. As you can see, our multi-year projection shows deficit spending. We knew that. Shouldn't be a surprise. But I'll go through this a little bit more detail. Our beginning fund balance on the books looks like 32 million, but remember it is 11.5 million less than that for real. You can see that in this year that we're closing out, we had about 59 million in tax revenue, and that is increasing each year. Our federal revenue will go down starting with the budget year because of the decrease in COVID relief funds. And then the other state, I explained, would go down, and the local is going down because we're moving Daly City Youth Health Center out. For expenditures, there's the 3% salary increase in the first year, and then you see it's just about a 1% increase each following year, and that's to cover step and column. The benefits, the PERS and STIRS are covered, a 7% increase in health and welfare in the first year, and then CPI the next 2 years. For goods and services, there's a decrease in this first year because of the COVID money that was coming in, we spent. We had higher spending because of that money, and then we're going back to just working within our budget. And same thing with the other, that decreases capital expenditures. And then you see our transfers out for the COP payment, and our transfers to Fund 17 puts us at a pretty significant deficit for the budget year, about 5.3 million, and decreasing over time. And so this is something the board will need to watch as we move forward. We can afford this deficit spending now because we had a significant reserve. And so it's kind of like we're spending one-time money on ongoing costs, which is not best practice. But it's also not best practice for a district our size to hold on to a sizable reserve. An excessive reserve. So we're trying to make that balance. Our ending fund balance, when you take out our restricted balances and our not real money, the $11.5 million, we have an ending fund balance of about 16 million in this year and a projected ending fund balance of about 12 million in the budget year. And you can see how that covers our statutory reserve of 3%. That's required by Ed Code. And then our strategic reserve that we're starting next year. And then it also covers some additional reserve that we need to have in order to continue with this deficit spending. Any questions on this? Great. So the only other thing that I wanted to point out is that our nutrition program continues to be projected as a break-even program. Ever since we have universal meals are projected to continue in the governor's proposed budget. And after the budget is adopted in June, the next report you'll get is in September that will show you how the books actually closed for 22-23. And then in November will be the first interim report that shows you how once we are completely staffed, how our numbers are shaking out for the 23-24 school year.
Thank you. Opening it up to the board for any comments or questions. Mr. Walker.
Thank you. This continues to stretch my understanding, but less than it did before.
There you go.
That's a lot due to you. So thank you. I know outside of our meetings, nothing about financing the school district, and I'd like to know more. And I'm just glad we have someone. Thanks.
And first year's rough. So don't worry about it. You're doing great. Yeah, also thank you so much, Ms. Van Rampers, for again breaking it down. It's always very thorough. And then, it's nice that I feel like my level of understanding is enough that we could figure this out without even the word session. That's a testament to how hard you work. And that it's working in concert with Ms. Baca so that all of these numbers, because this is the summary, but then when I go through the full document, being able to see where all the money is, broken down into the LCAP. So we can see where all those dollars are going, because this is very broad, but if parents want to know, if you look at the LCAP, you can see where all the money is going in terms of your students. So that's very helpful. The thing that concerns me, and we haven't had to worry about this in a long time in California, is the bust. We've been booming for a while. But here comes, we've been at the top of the hill and here comes the valley. So again, I'm really being more mindful of our fiscal health as we come into whatever this is going to be. If it's going to be a recession, whatever this is going to be for the state of California. It concerns me that we're already taking money back, that the governor's already taken money back. And we haven't even really hit whatever this is yet. So that's something else that I'm being mindful of. And then lastly, just thinking about our reserve, and I know we need to spend it, but just I just want to make sure people understand what we're doing in case we have to stop.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that we talked about next year doing a budget committee again. So I think, every 3 years is a good round number for us to do that. And next year will be the third year. So I'm prepared to do that so that we can make sure that as many of our stakeholders, employees, parents, community members that want to participate can learn more about the budget.
Mm-hmm. So those are the only comments that I had. I'm also feeling very fortunate, which is not something I used to be able to say here. And how we spent the money, especially how we spent the federal money. But there's a lot of panic going around in school districts. We spent ESSER funds on ongoing issues and are now really scrambling to see how they're going to pay for staff and having to lay people off. A lot of educational employees are about to get laid off around the country. So I'm very thankful that we are not in that position and that we were smart in the way we use the money. Thank you.
Yep, I echo those sentiments. Thank you again, Ms. Van Rapport. Very clear, very a lot simpler to understand. It does take a little bit of time to really get a feel for all of this. So do you know what kind of timetable you have for the budget committee next year, roughly?
No, I haven't done too much thinking about it, but usually, I mean, last time I kicked it off in like October. I think that was, let people get settled, but don't get too far into the school year. So I'm thinking in closed books so that we're just dealing with the one unknown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably October.
Great. Well, thank you. A lot of good, I'm grateful that the retirement contributions have sort of leveled off to a reasonable number after all those crazy years we had. All right. So since this is a public hearing, I will open the public hearing. Any comments from the public? And I will close the public hearing. Thank you very much. We'll go on to the next item, public hearing 2324 reserves in excess of state minimum level. Ms. Van Rapport.
Thank you, President Lee. So each year, school districts must provide the public a chance to comment on our reserve levels as illustrated in our budget presentation. Our current reserve level is necessary to cover the projected deficit spending. This is not an action item, just a public hearing.
Okay. Opening the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the public? All right, with that, I will close the public hearing. Thank you very much. All right, item 14A1, public hearing and action. Approval of alternative school of choice waiver for instructional minutes from 2023 to 2025, Oceana High School. Ms. Baca.
Hello again. So before you is the application for Oceana's instructional minutes waiver from 2023 through 2025. In April, a similar application was submitted to you, but that was for the retroactive years. And the California Department of Education advised us to submit this now so that there is no lapse in the waiver timeline. So it is my recommendation that the board approve the waiver after the public hearing.
Okay. First, any comments or questions from the board?
No, I'm glad that we're doing this at the right time, and Oceana is a fantastic program.
Okay. Opening the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the public? Seeing as there is none, I close the public hearing. Is there a motion to approve the alternative school of choice waiver?
Move to approve the alternate school of choice waiver for instructional minutes in 2023-25.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, motion passes. Item 14B1, service and consult contract approvals, cooperative personnel services, HR consulting. Ms. Lujan.
Good evening, everyone. The contract before you with Cooperative Services HR Consulting they're an organization that provides HR services such as job classification and compensation studies. We desire to establish a partnership with this organization to conduct a job classification study. Several times I've brought job description updates to you and new job descriptions. This will look at all of our job descriptions and, assess and collect survey data from our current employees to make sure that their job descriptions match what they're doing. And if there are updates that need to happen, we make those updates happen.
Okay. If there are no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve the service consulting contract approval for the Cooperative Personnel Services HR Consulting. I cannot read. I'm going to make this bigger.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Great.
I'm getting to the age where I think I need reading glasses.
Let it be known that on June 6th, 2023, Ms. Salahudin says she needs reading glasses.
I see it now.
All right, let's see. Next item, declaration of need for fully qualified educators 23-24. Ms. Lujan, once again.
Hello again. This item is a form that gets approved annually. It's a document that allows us to hire teachers who occasionally have not quite met all of the credential requirements. So this document needs to be in place first before we can put forward any waivers for any teachers that we may hire who just need to do a couple things to get their full credentials.
Okay. Go ahead.
Move to approve the declaration of need for fully qualified educators 2023-2024.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Ms. Lujan, just stay right there. Job description updates, secondary and adult school teacher job description.
I am super excited, I have to say, to bring this one to you. Our current teacher job descriptions cover a wide range of subjects, but the current job descriptions are very dated. So through some amazing collaboration with Doreen and Monica, we came up with a teacher job description that captures current practices and can be used for all subject areas. So we're super excited about it, and we're happy to entertain any questions.
All right, move to approve the job description update for the secondary and adult school teacher.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Now, the job description for the peer assistance and review provider.
Thank you. We we're very excited about the next item. And part of the next item will be recruiting for peer assistance and review providers. And we realized in order to recruit folks into the position to provide assistance to certificated staff, they needed a job description. So that is the job description before you.
Move to approve the job description for the car provider.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and lastly, evaluation process and peer assistance review side letter. Ms. Lujan.
Hello again. After much collaboration with AFT 1481, Doreen and myself, we have made updates to the day certificated unit evaluation process, as well as the peer assistance review process for day certificated staff. Well, in addition to this work, we also updated the classified and adult school certificated evaluation process. The goal was to bring consistency across the units. We have different practices and different timelines for all our units, which isn't pleasant for employees and it's confusing for administrators. So we're really excited about the work we've done. It was a ton of work, but we're really excited for the consistency, the clear language, and we're looking forward to the changes.
Right. We're in motion to approve if no questions.
Move to approve the evaluation process and peer assistance review side letter.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. On to business services. Approval of resolution 2022-2023/21, the education protection account. Ms. Van Rapphorst.
Prop 30 passed in 2012 and provides educational protection act funding or ECA funding. It can be spent for any educational purpose, provided that the board passes the resolution annually. As in prior years, this resolution, sorry.
As in prior years, this resolution designates the EPA funds to pay for teacher salaries. I recommend the approval of resolution 2022-2023/31.
Is there a motion to approve if no questions?
Move to approve.
21, not 31.
That's okay, I got you. Move to approve resolution 2022-23/21.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Next item, budgetary increases and transfers at year-end resolution number 2022-2023/20. Ms. Van Rapphorst once again.
Thank you. This is another annual housekeeping item, allowing the county superintendent to offset any over expenditures in our account in case our adopted budget wasn't exactly right. I recommend the approval of this resolution.
A motion to approve.
Move to approve the budgetary increases in capital year end.
All those in favor? Aye. Finally, public hearing and action resolution for fiscal year 2022-23 for the JUHSD Maintenance Assessment District. Ms. Van Raphorst.
Thank you. So the continuation of our maintenance assessment district, which generates about $370,000 per year, requires an annual approval of the levy assessment, and your approval of this resolution would allow that levy to happen.
Okay. First, I will open up the public hearing. Any comments from the public with regards to the maintenance assessment district? Seeing as there is none, I close the public hearing. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Yay, move to approve the resolution for fiscal year for fiscal year 2022-23 for the JUHSD Maintenance Assessment District.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Yay.
All right.
I'm so happy about it. I know, this is the last one.
Item 15. We almost there. Item 15, consideration of future agenda items. Anything this evening? Seeing as there is none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Woo, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned
Thank
at
you.
8 o'clock on the nose.
Let's go. Wow.